Perfect. Perfect. So welcome everyone to our annual NP Student NP Leadership Panel discussion. We had this last year and it was quite a success. We had actually around the same people that came. So we had a good turnout and students really liked it. So we're doing this again this year. Next slide, please, Beatrice. And I'll hand it off to Brianna.
Hi, so an NPBC serves and supports nurses working across the full breadth of what is today known as British Columbia, the homelands of over 200 First Nations, Métis communities, and Inuit. As an organization committed to anti-racism within a profession dedicated to social justice and equity, we stand in these relationships with humility and respect. So we're just going to go through the agenda real quick. So we have the panel discussion guests. We'll just do a quick sort of intro with those. The NP Student Committee introduction, NP Leadership Committee and introductions and role, NP Student Committee. So we'll talk a little bit about what we've done so far. And then, of course, that we're looking for new members. It's a great opportunity for students. New NP grad position as well, so we'll discuss that. The NNPBC governance introduction, and of course, the main event, the 4th annual NP networking event, and we've got some great presenters here today. So we have Dr. Laura Housden from Fraser Health Authority, Dr. Jennifer Beveridge from Vancouver Coastal Health Authority. We have Aaron Barukov, sorry if I'm saying any of your names incorrectly, Regional PCN Leadership, and then Balwinder Chokaria, and so she is representing here today from BCCNM. Yeah, and then so we have this is kind of a face of who we have. So we have Krishma and Sydney. They're kind of from the NNPBC. We've got, you can see we've got a few spots vacant from UVic. We've got some spots vacant from UNBC. We have Jasmine and Sariana, and then we've got 2 from TRU, Selena, year 2, and then myself, Brianna, from year 3. And then we have our NP Leadership Committee as well. So now Jane Narayan and Suki Jasar. Sorry if I said your names wrong. Our past president. And then I've lost, am I on this one here? Oh, Krishma, sorry, this one's yours. I'll hand it back to you.
So we wanted to introduce what's now known, which we've had some changes and we'll discuss that later into the slides. We've gone from NP Council to NP Leadership Committee, and I don't know if I'm not sure. Maybe I'll let Sydney introduce herself because she's here, and I don't know if there's anyone else from the Leadership Committee who wants to unmute and introduce themselves, but I won't go over all the names, but this is the team that works for all the NPs. Oh, Sydney.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was like, I'm speaking in a few minutes. I'm Sydney. Hi, everyone. I'm part of the NP Leadership Committee, and I also am a mentor to the NP Student Committee. So I'm here today in kind of both of those roles, and I'm just so excited to see all of you here. And I'll be speaking a little bit further ahead, a little bit more about NNPBC and the Leadership Committee work.
Thank you, Sydney. Anyone else from the leadership team? No. Okay. So I wanted to actually go over a little bit about the genesis of our student committee. It started when I was an NP student counselor, so I was a student. This was during sort of just before COVID, and then COVID hit halfway through my program. And at that time, things were quite challenging, particularly more challenging during COVID. You know, there was the spring OSCE got canceled because of the provincial restrictions, and placements got canceled for UVic, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and there was a need for sort of having a student body. So hence it birthed the NP Student Committee. There's no such thing in BC. So we are the only committee for students, and that is out there to advocate for students. So we had our first meeting January 2022. And we've been around ever since. I've been the chair for a few years now, and Sydney has been with us also for a couple of years as a mentor, and also she wears two hats. So she's a mentor on our committee, but also a NP Leadership Committee member as well. And it was created with the help of Karen Sims, Kate Prosnick, who was the NP student counselor at that time after I had graduated, and Carrie Murphy, if anyone knows. So we created the committee, and it is particularly for students to have a voice. So the main purpose is, might be redundant, but it is to advocate for students, to listen to students, to bring issues up from the students over to our NP Leadership Committee and other stakeholders like the ministry and etc. We do currently have a max of 14 committee members, and we aim to try to represent each NP cohort from all the BC schools. So we have 2 from TRU, 3 from UNBC, because I know they have like year 1, 2, and 3, and then 2 from UVic, and then UNBC, no, I thought, and 2 from UBC. And then we also have a NP new grad position that's sort of was in the works, but now we're looking to have someone take that position as well. So yeah, in total we have 14 committee members. So if anyone's interested, we'll review it at the end as well. There's more slides, but it's a great opportunity to get involved. Next slide, please.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. So I'll just be going over the next few slides here. So this slide goes over what we have done so far. We hold biannual NP student engagement presentations held in the spring and fall. We collaborated with BCCNM and NP schools to remove outdated BCCNM document from the curriculum. For TRU's new NP program, the NP committee were invited to join a stakeholder meeting with the program developers to get ideas and feedback. They also invited some of the NP committee members to join the TRU program advisory committee for the new NP program, and Karishma is currently on the one of the committee members. We raised concerns that NP students have about challenges with student placements. And the NP student and new grad survey was created because many students had raised concerns about placement and program challenges. The survey is an objective way to understand where the gaps are and what we need to advocate on. There's also a student-specific webpage section on the NP portal on the NNPBC website. And then if you're interested in joining the NNPBC Student Committee, the applications are now open for fall. The deadline is November 17th at 11:59 p.m. NNPBC is looking for students from first, second, and third year from each of the 4 universities in BC. And they're looking for future leaders and enthusiastic students to apply. There's also a new opportunity, the NP New Grad Committee member position, as Karishma mentioned earlier. There is one position for any new grad NP within 2 years of graduation. And then just some instructions on how to apply. There are a few mandatory requirements. You must be an NNPBC member and have graduated from an accredited NP program. In your application, please write 500 words or less explaining why you want to join the committee, what skills you would bring and how they would benefit the committee, and one idea or issue you've encountered as an NP student that you would like to improve or address. And please email the submissions to npstudentcommitteechair@nnpbc.com. And then for the NP new graduate position, similar requirements. So you must be an NNPBC member and have graduated from an accredited NP program. Please submit 300 words explaining why you'd like to join the NP committee, what skills and knowledge you bring, and one issue you would like to see improved or changed within the NP profession.
All right, thanks you guys. I'm going to speak a little bit about our association. So we're all here tonight because of NNPBC. So what is NNPBC? For some of you, hopefully all of you know about what we do here, but for those of you who don't, the NNPBC is the Nurses and Nurse Practitioners of British Columbia. So it's the professional association that unites all voices of nurses in British Columbia. So the RNs, LPNs, RPNs, and nurse practitioners. When you become an NP, one of the things that's a little bit of a learning curve, you're no longer part of a union. So a union typically is going to act on behalf of nurses, primarily securing salary benefits and working on having safe working conditions, which is very important. You also have your college, which we are still part of as nurse practitioners, BCCNM. But the college is there to protect the public and ensure that we have professional and safe practice. So the professional association sort of works in the middle of that, and looks at advocating for nurse practitioners and nurses and moving our voice forward to key stakeholders to ensure that the nursing voice is always represented in these important conversations that happen at various tables in the province. So we are so fortunate tonight to have so many of you present. This is really exciting. And I just wanted to take a moment as well to acknowledge that we have our CEO, Angela Rignall, present tonight. And she is just a wonderful advocate for all nurses. And she's just been amazing and supportive for nurse practitioners moving our policy and advocacy forward, and to Beatrice on the NNPBC team as well. Thank you for supporting us tonight. So I'm going to speak a little bit, just give you a really brief overview of some of the changes that have been happening in NNPBC lately. And Angela, I let her know she can jump in to add anything if necessary. But NNPBC recently underwent a really big change in governance. So on August 21st, we did have a special general meeting, and there was a vote of confidence with 89% in favor to update the bylaws that would bring changes in the governance restructuring of NNPBC. So basically the whole way that NNPBC was organized has changed for lots of really good reasons, and it's going to help promote the work of nurses and advocacy moving forward. So we're just sort of in that transition right now. Normally we have some pictures and things that kind of show you how everything works together, but those are just in development right now with these new changes. But basically moving forward, NNPBC is focusing on developing a skills-based matrix to identify the expertise needed on the NNPBC board. So the process of management through the board of directors has changed a little bit. And in that change, the change has also occurred within the NP Council. So as Karishma mentioned, it was the NP Council, which is what I am a part of, but now we're called the NP Leadership Committee. And so there are some changes coming in how NPs are sort of organized within the NNPBC restructuring. So there will be more information about this to come. This is kind of a high level discussion, but just so you guys are aware of these things that are happening in your professional association, so you can kind of keep your ear to the ground moving forward. I'm not going to tell you all the things that we do within the NP Leadership Committee because there's a lot of work that happens, but one of the biggest things that's happening right now is obviously the governance update through the association and the change to the NP Leadership Committee. But we are working strongly to move forward with something called the NP Main Agreement. And so the Main Agreement is something that we feel like is really important to nurse practitioners moving forward. And it would be an agreement between the NNPBC and the nurse practitioners and the government, kind of outlining how we work, how we are compensated, and it would change entirely the structure of how nurse practitioners are employed in the province currently in a very exciting way. And so NNPBC has been supporting us by creating this website called Your Voice, Your Future. And it's an amazing website that has all the FAQ information that you could need. NPs are being asked to complete a survey, and there will be a vote in the near future once we've had as many members as possible complete the survey. So the main agreement is very big, very exciting, and we're really hoping to get a lot of engagement. So part of that work is being here, chatting with all of you tonight and letting you know that this is something on the horizon and could be really critical for things for yourselves as you go into, graduating and entering practice as nurse practitioners. So just wanted to drop a line on that and check out the website. It's really well laid out. And if you have any questions as part of the NP Leadership Committee, we always want to hear from you. If you have questions, concerns, and you just don't know where to go, like we're the people to reach out to, as well as Karishma and your student committee members as well. So don't ever hesitate to reach out because we do want to hear from you. So thank you.
So I just wanted to add, Sydney, it's just so everyone knows, and someone jump in, because again, I'm not the expert here, but we're the only province that's sort of looking at master agreement, which is very exciting. So we're leading the way, and it's akin to the physicians master agreement and the midwives, that they already have one with the Ministry of Health. So this is very big for us, and obviously you guys are the future practicing NPs, so your vote and your voice counts, and so you guys kind of have the most up-to-date information. Yeah. Okay, so we are, this is another plug for our 4th annual NP networking event. We've tried to do this every year, and it's fun. It's usually a beautiful venue. There's a professional photographer, live music, 3-course meal. So it's happening November 19th. 2025 from 5:30 to 9:30 p.m. at the Terminal City Club in Vancouver. There's going to be sort of, people who are sort of in their, leaders who are part of it. There'll be a panel, and it'll be a great networking event where you can chat with other leaders and meet them and kind of find out what they're due, and also great other things as dinner and professional pictures will be there. That's free. I don't know what's the I couldn't find out the price. Does anyone know what the ticket prices are, and is there student price?
I will see if I can find that out while we're on this meeting for you and let people know in the chat. And I just wanted to add, oh, someone said $90 for students.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect. I just wanted to also add, Angela just popped in the chat that the NP main agreement survey does close tomorrow. So take a look and feel free to complete the survey and add your voice to that. It's really valuable. And go to the networking event. We'd love to.
Maybe we'll see some of you guys. Perfect. I wanted to, before we commence our panel discussion, I wanted to introduce Angela Wignall, who's our CEO of NPBC, and maybe I'll let her speak and introduce herself.
Thank you so much, Karishma and Sydney, and thank you also, Brianna. It's so lovely to see so many of you joining this evening. I'm so grateful for you taking the time out of your busy days, your education, your learning, your practice, to come and spend time with us. We are your home as nurse practitioners, and it's our privilege to work for and with you in advancing the profession. My colleagues have done a beautiful job of showcasing the work of the NP Leadership Committee and the incredible NP Student Committee. And so I just would encourage you, wherever and however your life allows, get involved with the association, step into those opportunities to lead as students, add your voice to the provincial survey that's open, closing tomorrow, and know that you can connect with us at any time during your education, after you've graduated as a nurse practitioner. We are 100% here to support and work for you.
Perfect. Thank you, Angela. All right, so I will let, so the next person on the panels is Bal and Laura from BCC&M. So I will let you guys, maybe we'll let you guys share your presentation, and we can kind of take it from there. For all the presenters, panelists, I ask if you can keep it 10 minutes, and that way we have 20-minute slots for each person, each panelist, so that way students have at least 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes to sort of ask questions and yeah.
Hi, everyone. Krishma, can you see your screen? Are you seeing the PowerPoint? Nope.
No.
Okay. You're seeing the blank screen?
Yeah, it is blank. Unless, do you want to maybe email it to myself or Beatrice, and then maybe Beatrice can.
I'll see if Laura or Vanessa can share.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can
It's just
share.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, good. Okay, can folks see
Yeah,
the
perfect.
screen? Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I don't know, I always get some Zoom issues, but we're so thrilled to be here tonight. And thank you, Krishma, so much for inviting us. So I am presenting today with my colleagues, Laura from Registration, Vanessa from Policy, and we will introduce ourselves individually. And my name is Bowena Chikaria. I'm a registered nurse by background, and I have more than 20 plus years of experience and almost 8 years with CERN-BC, BCCNP, and BCCNM. And I am very excited to be part of this discussion and discussion in past to support NP students and NPs and guide them to best of our abilities for BCCNM standards of practice. So I'll have Laura introduce herself and Vanessa.
Sure, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura. I am a registration and exams consultant with the BCCNM. So I work in registration, which pretty soon we're going to start calling licensing once the HPOA comes into effect. And yeah, I'll speak a little bit about that more later on. Vanessa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vanessa. I'm a policy consultant here at BCCNM. So my role at the college is primarily reviewing, revising, sometimes creating practice standards or scope of practice documents. And this is oftentimes due to new or changing legislation or responding to health system needs. So I will be also speaking about the policy process at BCCNM later on in this presentation.
Okay, next slide. Okay, I wanted to take an opportunity. I'm apologizing. I don't know why my video is not working. I have tried everything. It was working earlier. I knew something is going to happen. So my apologies, but I think most of you have seen me in some of the video for scope of practice documents changes. I was chosen to be an actor for that purpose. So anyways, so before we start our presentation, we would like to acknowledge the our land. So we would like to acknowledge the rights and title of the First Nation on whose collective unceded territories encompass the land base in Colonia known as British Columbia. We give specific thanks to the Humkin-speaking people, the Musqueam and the Tsleil-Waututh nations, and Tsimshian-speaking people, the Squamish Nation on whose unceded territories BCCNM's office is located. We also give thanks for the medicines of these territories and recognize that laws, governance, and health system tied to these lands and waters have existed here for over 9,000 years. We also acknowledge the unique and distinct rights, including the rights to health and wellness of First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples from elsewhere in Canada who now live in British Columbia. As leaders in federal health system, we acknowledge our responsibilities to these rights under international, national, and provincial law. So thank you for giving us that opportunity. And I'm joining this meeting from my hometown in Surrey, the Coachella Squamish Nations. Next slide, please. So the brief agenda we're gonna be providing very high level overview on BCCNM departments and different processes. And Krishma, thank you for sending us the questions in advance. And we will try to incorporate some of those questions during our discussions. And we will also send you a written response in an email, Krishma, after, so you can circulate with the students, because I think most of those questions are from students. So we'll provide you a brief overview on BCCNM. Laura will talk about registration. Vanessa will talk about the policy processes. We don't have anybody from QA, but we'll speak to two slides from QA, and my role is the standards and guidance consultant, so I will be taking you to the standards and guidance process within BCCNM. Next slide. What do we do at BCCNM? So as you know, you may know we have about 6 department core regulatory functions within BCCNM, registration being the main one, which Laura has already alluded that HPO is our biggest priority for everybody in making sure the systems are going to be aligning with the HPO as of April 1st, 2026. So a lot of work. I know NNPBC and BCCNM, we're doing a lot of groundwork in making sure our standards, our bylaws are all aligning with the new HPO. Currently, we have HPA. So the registrants are going to be called licenses. That is the one biggest change that we will be seeing. So we have education program review, which you, Krishma, others alluded already, like we review the education programs for NPs. There are 4 NP programs within BC. So that is our different team, education program review. Policy, Vanessa will talk about the policy process, how we come and draft and make the standards. Standards and guidance team is where we provide the guidance. And the quality assurance, where you have the peer reviews, the on-site reviews, and the CDS prescription pads and all that stuff. And inquiry, discipline, and monitoring. This is where the bulk of our public safety mandate is, when we hear concerns and complaints from registrants, public members. So this department addresses this. Next slide, Laura.
Sure, yeah. So over here in registration, what we do is we kind of focus on developing and implementing fair, objective, and transparent application and assessments to protect the public that lead to licensure or licensure pathways. And we do that either through issuing licenses or registration for qualified applicants, or we deny licenses to protect the public. And we kind of strive to do this in a way that is timely as possible, professional, kind of compassionate, and psychologically safe for applicants and registrants. So many of you already kind of familiar with the registration process at the BCCNM, because I'm guessing many of you have been registered as RNs through the BCCNM, or at least are eligible to be. But I just kind of wanted to lay out the process for registering to be an NP, which is very similar to be an RN, including your education within the last 3 years. So kind of completing your NP program fills that requirement, as well as an exam, which I can speak to some changes to that in the future. But for now, we removed the OSCE, as you all know, and we kind of have these current written exams available, like the AANP, I believe, is one of the more common ones. Then RN registration or eligibility, meeting our good character and fitness to practice requirements, which is often kind of a disclosure or through employment verification, or verification of registration from histories with other regulators, criminal record check, English language proficiency, which would be achieved through completing a program in British Columbia, and then just your identification, fees, and professional evidence of your professional liability protection, which you would be familiar through already as well, through being an RN registrant. And so, yeah, kind of when you get to that graduation phase, you'll be able to register either provisionally, depending on if you've written the exam or not, and you'll kind of go through these requirements that are laid out on our website as well. And then just kind of one final note I wanted to speak to is that I'm not sure many of you have heard about this work that's going on, about the NP kind of regulation project, which is national work that we're doing with regulators from across Canada to kind of move from these streams to this one NP approach. So kind of going from family, adult, and pediatric streams to across the lifespan, and kind of removing the streams over time, and then going towards implementing the CNPLE, which will be available later on in 2026. And yeah, the hope is that this kind of standardizes the requirements across provinces and improves mobility and clarity for the public about what an NP does and who they are. And so this project is in flux. It's happening right now. We're collaborating nationally with other regulators. And so we're providing updates as we can about this project, including information about when the CNPLE will be offered for upcoming graduating classes. And so that's in the works right now, and we'll update our website as we get more information and more clarity specifically around our timelines for implementing this project. I think that's all for me.
All right, so now I'm going to speak a little bit more about the policy process. So like I mentioned, the policy team develops and revises standards of practice for nurses and midwives, including standards, limits, and conditions. And Val's going to speak more about this, but I'm just going to briefly touch on this as this is integral to the policy analysis process. However, we know that nurses and midwives work under the controls on practice. So what this means is at the very top level, we have the government who creates legislation for each specific health profession. Underneath that, we have the regulator, which we can then limit that if we find specific areas of risk. And so we can't go beyond the legislation. Like if the law says nurses can't do something, we can't say that they can. However, we can impose limits and conditions, which sometimes we do based on things like it not being covered in entry-level education or other identified risks. So that's all part of the process. And then further on, employers can further limit what nurses and nurse practitioners and midwives can do. And then, of course, it also depends on the individual nurse or nurse practitioner to determine their own level of competence to determine if something is correct for them. But in developing or revising these standards, limits, and conditions, we follow this policy analysis cycle, which you can see to the right. And I won't, bore you with each step of what that entails. However, what you kind of need to know is that there is a process that we really do go through, and we try to ensure it's very thorough. And where you kind of come in as a registrant is that we typically have a thorough engagement process. And what this means is we'll have various points in trying to define the issue and analyze the topic to determine what impact will any changes have on the registrants, or what is currently the issue. So sometimes you'll see this done through surveys, focus groups. Other times we'll have developed a draft and reach out to different registrants within different healthcare settings to determine, like, are the changes we're proposing, what kind of impact would they have on your particular field? So oftentimes you'll kind of see someone from BCNM reach out as part of engagement, and we really do appreciate when you take the time to do those surveys or to provide feedback in one way or another. It's truly the best way to ensure that our suggested standards of practice are not going to cause risk and help or any unintended consequences, and really ensure protection of the public. So once we go through this cycle and we determine a recommended policy approach, we do then have to get it approved by the board. So BCCNM operates under a board which is comprised of different public members. And in order for anything to get passed, so we can go through this whole process, but if the board does not approve it, we cannot actually publish the recommended practice standard. So that's just one part of our process. And, if you are curious about how this works and want to see the full cycle, that's something I'm happy to talk about more as well. But for now, if we can go on the next page, Laura. We do have this engagement and insights page on our website. And really, you can see upcoming and current engagement activities listed there. Oftentimes, that this can provide a really great opportunity for you to kind of get acquainted with the work before it's published. And we also publish findings from previous engagement activities on there. We also have committees. So there are 7 regulatory committees that support BCC&M's core program areas. These might look a little bit different under the HPOA, but still right now we do have these committees that where member recruitment happens every January, and the term can last 1 to 3 years. But this is a really great way to get involved and really have your perspectives heard. So if that's something you're interested in, you can also find that in our website. Next slide, please. So now a little bit about the BCC&M Quality Assurance Program. So as part of our mandate to protect the public through regulation of nurses and midwives, BCC&M is required to maintain the Quality Assurance Program. So the purpose is to ensure the clients receive safe, competent, ethical care by supporting nurses to engage in ongoing reflection and development. So meeting QA requirements is an important way to maintain the public's trust in nurses. And we have a couple links there if you want to learn more about what this kind of looks like. I will delve into one aspect of it on the next slide. So an overview of the nurse practitioner peer review program. So this involves a review of client. Oh,
sorry.
Yes.
We're running a little bit behind,
Oh, sure.
We can maybe just skip this slide and we can send the information to Krishna
Sure,
later.
sounds good. So, go ahead. So if you do want to learn more about the QA, it is on the website, but I'll let Val go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for that interruption, but I know you guys are have a quite busy agenda. So I'm going to be quickly going over the standards and guidance, which already Laura and Vanessa alluded a little bit. So our job as standards and guidance team is we help you understand, identify, and apply the standards of practice to nurses and midwifery situations. So midwifery, we also do regulate midwives within BCC&M. So that's why it's called BC College of Nurses and Midwives. So as we said loud and clear, our mandate is public protection. It is through self-regulation of nurses and midwives to provide safe, competent, and ethical care. So anybody can reach us, our team. We do have a form on the website, so you can reach the standards and guidance team. Anybody, we do hear from everybody, nurses, midwives, members of public, any questions related to scope standards, we provide that guidance. We have a lot of learning modules, FAQs, case studies. If you go on the NP webpage, you will find a drop down. I would highly encourage you to go into the learning resources page. There are a lot of new learning resources for you to look into, and also learning modules. Next slide, please, Laura. So Vanessa did talk about controls and practice. So this is kind of like a new visual for controls and practice. We just gave a little bit new outlook because we had a pyramid before. So basically level 1 is our legislation and regulation for nurse practitioners and RN, and level 2 is BCC&M. Our bylaws are posted right now for external consultation. So then we do standards, limits, and conditions, which are both approved. So these are the regulatory frameworks. And then we have employers. So many of you are going to be employed by health authorities. You may be self-employed. If you're self-employed, you're your own employer. So the expectation is that you have policies and procedures as an employer to be running your self-employed practice. If you're working with health authority, your organization develop policies and procedures and guide you and can further limit you performing any activity. And the last one is individual competence. So if you're not competent, then you're not able to do anything. So there was one question about what does the competence mean? We do have a glossary term also. The competence is integration and application of knowledge, skills, judgment required for safe, appropriate performance into an individual practice. So basically, you need to have the skill set to provide that safe care. Next slide, Laura. So basically, this is on our website. So there are about 8 standards of practice for nurse practitioners. So regulatory supervision of NP students. So you may be already doing this when you have an NP supervising your practice. So you may be doing this during your provisional license. When you're working as provisional, consultation and referral is our main one. When you think things are out of your scope or you're not competent, then you consult and refer to other health professional. Ordering diagnostic services and managing results. So there were some questions about if you can diagnose ADHD, bipolar, other disorders. Well, we don't have any limitations for you, what you can diagnose and cannot diagnose. So it is within your, whatever is within your scope. That is what the expectation is. So you do need to work within your scope and within your regulation. So we do not have any limitation that you cannot diagnose ADHD or bipolar. You can diagnose any condition as long as you are competent. So I'm going to be using the word competent, and you are responsible for managing the results and diagnostics. So again, if you think you're not competent or it's beyond your scope of practice skill level, then you consult and refer. Mental health capacity assessment. So this is quite a new standard that we had done recently. Advanced procedures and activities. So this is where we are talking about some of the additional activities. So some people were asking about self-employment. So if you wanted to do medical aesthetics, right, there are limits and conditions because that's not entry-level practice for NP. So then you are required to take additional education. We do have a quite comprehensive definition of additional education, which is basically theoretical, practical, and evaluation of the skills that you're going to be performing. And as self-regulated professionals, you are accountable and responsible for making sure you have the skill set to be performing that activity safely and competently. Prescribing drugs, this is our main standard that we get a lot of questions. So there are some limits and conditions, especially CDS prescribing. There are extra additional requirements for you to take. For example, if you wanted to prescribe CDS for methadone or ADHD, or you're required to take additional education because this is not entry level at this time. We're doing some policy work, so there may be some changes coming in future depending on what the research is saying. Then we have prescribing for opioid use disorder and medical assistance in dying. This is quite a unique one for NPs in BC. Next slide. So we have quite a bit of resources, and I think the last slide, so yeah, so we pretty much summarize. So I just wanted to say the last word, you're responsible to stay up to date with the standards regarding your practice to provide safe, ethical, and competent care. So make sure you read the newsletter. There you can subscribe to NP newsletter and also visit our website. We do, as Vanessa mentioned, we do a lot of consultation. So do visit the website. Krishma, I'm going to quickly look at other questions we had. Or do we have time or no time?
We're a bit behind. Maybe we can do like a few, and then the rest we can send it to everyone who pre-registered. We can send them the
yeah, so we have provided mostly, I kind of shared in the slides. So what is the role of BCCNM? We provided that we're public protection, private practice, so you don't need permission from BCCNM, but if you are incorporating a business name under a reserved title, so if you're using Krishma NP medical aesthetics, so if you're using NP nurse practitioner is a reserved title, then when you register with BC Registry, they will require you to get a consent from BCCNM. So that's when we will be involved in. But we always encourage, when you are thinking about incorporating or doing private practice or self-employment, do connect with CNPS to get the legal advice before you engage in, because those areas you're very resource limited. So you wanted to make sure you're getting yourself involved in a safe practice environment. So I would emphasize on that. Make sure you connect with CNPS, make sure you do your homework, what activities you're going to be performing, are they within your scope, do you have skill set, and do you have processes in place to manage the intended and unintended outcomes of those activities you're going to be performing. Oski, Laura already mentioned it. So
this comes up quite a bit, maybe in some students In regards to, is the OSCE, is it something that's gonna ever be there, or is it just gonna be the CPNLE exam? Is it one exam?
Yeah, the future state is just the CNPLE, so no additional requirements for other jurisdictions. It's just that we will be accepting other current written exams until all provinces have implemented the CNPLE. So we'll be able to currently still accept the other written exams until it's nationally implemented.
And just, I wanted to maybe quickly ask if anyone, the students, have any burning questions for the college. If something's come up, then this is a good time to maybe we can take like 1 or 2 questions, and then we'll move on. Hold on, there's something in the chat.
There was one question about delivering babies. So we don't have any limits and conditions. It's again is employer dependent. We are posting an FAQ pretty much soon. NPs caring for pregnant clients, so that information will be coming. But there is no limits and conditions. So again, additional education if you're competent. Consult and refer. We do recommend you to consult with the primary care provider when you think the care is outside your scope.
Can I just clarify? That was me that asked that question. So, because I was always under the impression that it's kind of like, oh, family doctors and NPs are very similar, and I kind of joke like we can take care of the pregnant woman before, and we can, help the baby and the mom after. We just can't catch the baby, haha. But you're saying that we actually might be able to do that, because I thought that there was a limitation on that, but there isn't if we have additional training.
Yeah, so there is nothing in the regulations. So if you look at because all of you are RNs, if you look at the RN scope under autonomous scope of practice, delivering babies when the primary care provider is not available, making sure you follow the perinatal services, BCE, decision support tools, and the guidelines. But there may be some further limitations from Ministry of Health, from the employer, but as per the regulation, the scope, there are no specific limits and conditions.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I will share that FAQ with the Krishma when it's posted. Right now, it's sitting with our communications.
Okay.
And there are a lot of nurse practitioners and midwife collaborating in providing that pregnant client care, postpartum and perinatal.
Perfect. Any other questions from students? One last one. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, Laura and Val and Vanessa. Thanks for coming. I know it's late for you guys. It's after hours, so thank you so much. You guys are free to stay on or leave, whatever is whatever you guys please. And then we'll move on to our next panelist, which is the Fraser Health Leadership.
Thanks, Krishna. Laura actually isn't able to be here today, so I'll be representing Fraser Health on her behalf. So let me just pull up her slide and then I'll introduce myself as well. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, thanks for inviting me, and huge thank you to NNPBC for inviting Fraser Health. So I'm Michael Tantonko. I'm one of the directors for the Fraser Health Authority and the NP leadership team. I oversee the urgent and primary care centers regionally for the Health Authority. So just to start, I'd like to recognize that Fraser Health provides care on the traditional, ancestral, and the unceded lands of the Coast Salish and the Nalaka Pamu nations, and that we are home to 32 First Nations within the Fraser Salish region.
Michael, it's just not.
Oh, it's not presenting?
It's just not presenter mode.
Oh, okay, hold on. I don't use Zoom, so I gotta figure out how to do that.
I think it's that little button on the your far right, with the little stand. Okay. Yeah.
You guys see that now? Is it in presenter mode?
No, not yet.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, guys. I use Teams I'm not familiar with. How would if I do that?
1 second.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So just a brief overview for those of you that are not familiar with Fraser Health. So we serve a fairly large population from Burnaby out to Boston Bar, which is just north of Hope. We serve the largest population in British Columbia. So we have over 2 million British Columbians that we care for. We have a fairly large number of staff. We have about 54,000 staff, medical staff, and volunteers, 20 communities, 10 urgent and primary care centers, as well as 12 acute care sites across the region. We are home to many communities, as I just alluded to. So Burnaby, all the way out to Hope, and in between we have Abbotsford, Chilliwack, New Westminster, Langley, Surrey, many other great communities. So just wanted to briefly give you an overview of of our support structure and our organizational structure for nurse practitioners. I recognize that we are short on time, so I'll try and get through this slide deck as quickly as I can. So in Fraser Health, we currently have about 200 nurse practitioners in various amounts of FTE. So they work full-time, part-time, or casually, and in various practice settings. So MHSU, long-term care, intensive care, specialized areas like HIV, cardiac care, refugee health, long-term care, as well as our primary and urgent care sites and many acute care units across the region. So our NP leadership support, we are structured in that we have what we like to call 3 pillars of support. We have matrix reports to all of these, but NPs report centrally to the NP leadership team. So that would be the NP Executive Director, who's Dr. Laura Houston, myself, and then Graham McLean and Pam Colley, who oversee primary, specialized, and acute care. And we have various NP leaders who provide support on the ground to the NPs. We have an NP clinician scientist who is amazing, is involved in lots of research and scholarship programs, helps our NPs on the ground engage with research and ultimately publication. We've had various numbers of NPs present as well as publish their work over the last few years. We have a project coordinator who assists us with analysis work, presentations, and lots of other great projects, as well as an education coordinator who helps organize student placements, as well as our NP residencies. The NP reporting structure, as I alluded to earlier, we have a matrix report to operations, who is in charge for day-to-day things like getting you an office space, exam rooms, making sure the clinic functions on a day-to-day basis, and assist the NPs with planning their day, as well as approvals for vacation and things like that. We have the nurse practitioners who you report to clinically and centrally, as well as the regional department head and associate head, who is in charge of clinical care as well as NP wellness, and serves as medical staff leadership. So as I alluded to, we have 3 pillars of support. So this is kind of a bit of a busy slide, so I won't go into it too much, but you can see that there is lots of overlap. So you do get a lot of support when working for our health authority. So there's lots of overlap, as you see, between the 3 areas of NP support. So just some new grad support programs that we have in place. As BCS-CNM just mentioned, there are provisional licenses, and we do welcome all NPs on provisional licenses to come and apply to our positions. We hopefully will be able to make it work to what position it is that you're interested in. And thanks to the removal of the OSCE, this time period is much shorter now. So hopefully you won't be on your provisional license for too long. Many of you are aware of our residency programs that were established back in, I want to say, about 2022. So we have grown our residency program exponentially. We offer it on select positions, but I want to say it's basically all positions within our within primary care and UPCCs. And we do require an 18-month return of service. So we offer it in primary care, UPCCs, as well as lots of specialized areas like refugee health, positive health, which is our HIV program. There is a didactic and practical training component, and you do spend time in various areas such as Aboriginal health, our PATH units, which are NP-led units. They are, I think, the first in BC. They function a lot like internal medicine, but they are staffed fully by nurse practitioners. We have a on-call group that is staffed by nurse practitioners, so it's a fully run NP unit in 2 of our hospitals. UPCC is women's health and pediatrics, and then our didactic courses include modules such as transgendered care, CDS, making sure you get your OAT done, PEP and PrEP, Sanya's cultural safety course, as well as the Mid-Mastery, which is our replacement for the HIPAA bootcamp course. Our acute care NP residencies, we're structuring them very similarly to our UPCC and primary care residencies. So again, you do have that didactic and practical component to it. Again, there's an 18-month return of service. How it's a little bit different is that the residencies are structured to the program that you have applied to or are doing your residency in. So some examples of previous in-house residency rotations include internal medicine, critical care, palliative care, acute pain service, respirology, cardiology, interventional radiology. We also have a clinical enhancement program that Graham and myself run, and we're looking to expand over the next few years. So we do offer opportunities for NPs to enhance their clinical skills and learning. So some examples of things that we run are point of care ultrasound workshops, suturing sessions for those in acute care and select in the community, the NP blood transfusion camp, we have lunch and learns, and we have an NP education connection conference that we used to run in collaboration with our friends over in Vancouver Coastal. For those of you interested in applying to our health authority, you can search for vacancies at careers.fraserhealth.ca, and you can also email recruitment@fraserhealth.ca, and Danielle Lay, who's our talent acquisition advisor, will definitely get in contact with you. So just a bit of a quick synopsis or journey of what an external applicant would look like. So you'd find your job, you'd apply for the job, create a profile, and then submit your application. So it's pretty straightforward. And after this step is completed, Danielle will reach out to you to do a pre-screening questionnaire before handing you over to one of the NP leaders who will then get a better sense of the position you're interested in, finding you the best fit, and then getting you set up for the interview. Internal applicants, very similar, and you just apply through MyFH Info, and then you click view and apply for open postings. We do have various vacancies at the moment. So these are current as of yesterday. So you can see lots of opportunities available. And then just a brief overview of some of the benefits and incentives of working for our health authority. So you start with 20 days of paid vacation, and coverage is, of course, done through the health authority. So you don't have to worry about finding locums or anyone to cover your vacation time. We have 100% health employer benefits, pension through the municipal pension plan. We have flexible scheduling for certain positions, transit incentives, and then obviously sick days, maternity leave, and top-up benefits. We are on social, so this is how you can connect with us through social media. And then I think it's just questions. So if you have any questions, you can scan the QR code or email recruitment@fraserhealth.ca. So hopefully that was fast enough. I tried to keep it nice and short for you today.
Thank you, Michael. It was really good. Maybe just to get things warmed up, I'm going to throw, because this is a question we often, I think we got this last year, and Pam was one of our presenters, in regards to what happens to your pension when you go from an RN within the health authority over to an NP. What happens to it? And the other question we often get is the benefits. What's the difference between an RN benefits package versus like NP? Because I know there's a difference.
Yeah. So the first question, I mean, I'm not an expert at all in our benefits package. So if you have any further questions after this, I'd say reach out to Danielle. She'd be able to answer it a bit better. But my understanding is that your municipal pension plan will transfer over. So whatever you've accrued as an RN, that amount will transfer over to your NP. And I think this is true for any health authority that you apply to. And then your second question, sorry, was around Sorry, could you repeat the second question?
The benefits between RN benefits versus
Oh, right. Yeah. So the benefits package, again, it's a little bit different. So when you were working as an RN, your benefits package were done through BCNU. So you do get the excluded management and management support benefit package, which is similar, but not the same. So a big difference would be the massage benefits. We don't get unlimited massages as NPs, but we do get very similar benefits in terms of the drugs and, other things that are covered through that plan.
Any other questions? If anyone has any burning questions, I have one from Sadia. Is there any benefit to keeping your position with Fraser Health as an RN prior to getting a position as an NP?
Yeah, so this is a question that we get asked a lot. So I don't think it's common knowledge, but if in order to transfer your years of service from an RN over to the NP, you actually need to maintain a line of some sort. So you need to maintain either a part-time RN or continue to work full-time as an RN, because once you transfer over to casual, you actually lose that. So that isn't actually portable. So I'm just going to go back to the question. So, I mean, yeah, so there is a benefit to keeping a line. So short answer for that. And then there's another question around the 18. So is 18-month return of service to Fraser Health or a specific hospital? So yeah, it's a good question. So it's to the health authority. So, we don't expect, your first job to be for your ever job. And, we also know that people don't, they may have a negative experience and want to move positions. So it's within the health authority. So as long as you stay within the health authority, your return of service is validated. Yeah.
Is the residency only for new grads? Could it be for an NP who's maybe moved from the US or worked somewhere else and new to the Fraser Health?
So generally we offer it only for the new grads. The residencies are 6 months. But in certain circumstances, we could put together an extended orientation that is similar in many ways to the residency.
And then this question about because you mentioned the residency is a didactic versus the rotational piece. What is the ratio between the two? Is it like 50-50?
Yeah, so we encourage people to do their residency on a full-time basis because it just makes it easier for you as the learner, not the learner, but the NP that's consolidating their knowledge base. So we do encourage full-time, and with that, it's about 2 days a week of didactic learning, and then 2 or 3 days a week of your practicum or whatever it is that you are doing your preceptorship in.
Any other questions from people or students? I'm just reviewing my little list here to just try to make the most of it.
I think I see a question about, so the question is when you say keeping your line as an RN, then moving into an NP role right after you keep your seniority, does the sick bank and vacation hours transfer over to that? I actually am not 100% sure on, and that I'd have to get back to you guys on.
I don't know if maybe I could step in. I've really looked into this a lot, but I'm interior health. I don't know how similar they would be or not, but so I have 13 years of RN experience. And so within interior health, at least you have to work for at least 5 years before you can start accruing 1 extra vacation day. So so at 13 years, take away 5, I have 8 extra days. So if I work full time, you get 20 vacation days a year. I'm at 28 right now. If I go casual while I'm trying to finish my practicums, I lose those 13 years. And then when I start back as a nurse practitioner, I have to wait 5 years and then I can start back at 1. So it's really important that I hold on to a permanent position, whatever that is. But I found out that you're going to lose all your sick time. You can't port that over. And what was the other thing? You can't port so the vacation one, that's the main thing. And it doesn't have to do anything. Yeah, seniority doesn't matter because we're not unionized anymore. It has to do with your years of service within that health authority.
Right. So I wasn't sure about the sick bank, so thank you for answering that. But yes, the years of vacation entitlement, it's based on you maintaining your part-time line, which is why I said it was important to keep your line if you could.
Any last, we'll maybe take one more, and if there's none, we'll move on. Any last burning questions? And Jennifer Beaver just had, like, all health authorities fall under the same rules, so it's whatever Brianna said, it probably would be applied across the board.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Michael, so much for coming this late, and too bad we missed Laura. But I think unless there's any questions, maybe, and if you guys have questions, put in the chat and we can try to answer it at a later time. Perfect. Thank you, Michael. And I think the next person on our agenda is PCN leadership. I think we had, did Jenny first? I'm not sure who's presenting. Erin. Oh, yeah, she's figuring it out.
I'm trying to find all my screens. Sorry, guys. So let me just bring up my presentation. You'd think we'd be experts at this by now.
Maybe could we do maybe a round of introductions while we wait? I know we have some people, a few people from different PCN regional leads, so.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. So I'm myself am Erin Barakoff. I'm the director of the provincial and regional leadership program with NNPBC, the Nurse Practitioner Provincial Initiatives and Programs, and I'm joined today by 4 of the leads. Tara, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Tara Reese. I'm the Indigenous Provincial Lead with the team. And I'll hand it to Sarah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Jesshope. I'm one of 2 Island Regional Leads.
Bingo. I'm Julia Walker. I am one of the Interior Regional Leads for PCN. And I think Jenny might be here. I'll hand it to her.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Jenny Chris. I'm one of the 3 Fraser Regional Leads within NPBC. And I think that's it for us. Back to you, Erin.
Yeah, so I'm going to zoom through. I also have some slides. I'm going to zoom through these. Can everybody see my slides?
It looks cropped, but.
It looks cropped. Okay, well, I guess what about this?
It's workable, but it looks cropped, but that's okay.
That's okay. Just go ahead.
Okay. I don't know.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect for you, but then I can't see my notes. Anyway, okay. So I'm calling in from the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish people here in what's traditionally known as Powell River or Cathet. And I'm excited to be chatting with you guys today. So you guys have probably heard of PCN or PCN NPs. So my role today is to chat a little bit about that. Those are some of the objectives. Briefly, just a little bit of a background. Historically, NPs were all funded through working within an employed model within the health authorities. And about 7 years ago, there was the launch of the team-based primary care strategy within BC in about 2018. And that strategy intended to increase patient attachment and access throughout BC for people to have primary care in their communities. Part of that strategy was the implementation of primary care networks. And the strategy included a targeted health and human resource and compensation initiative to further improve that access and attachment. And so within that initiative, the government announced that they were going to fund 200 NP positions in BC through the PCN-NP service contracts. So a little bit about PCN. You've probably heard about that. You've probably heard that word lots of times. So primary care networks, a clinical network of providers in a geographical area where patients receive access to primary care. There's about 90 PCNs in British Columbia who have put forward a service plan. The PCNs include family practitioners, nurse practitioners, and allied health. And you can find those folks working in patient medical homes, First Nations primary care clinics, nurse practitioner primary care clinics, UPCCs and CHCs, etc. There's other places that PCN-NPs work as well. The PCN was enabled by partnerships between the local divisions of family practice within those geographical areas, the local or the regional health authority, local First Nations, and other community partners. The PCN is governed by the PCN Steering Committee. So the PCN Steering Committee is led by a family practitioner, and the steering committee is made up of a partnership of many folks, including NPs, to sit at the table to help guide and govern how the PCN is implementing care within the areas, within the communities. PCNs are to abide or follow or include and incorporate 10 PCN core attributes. Those are listed there. So there's longitudinal care, so having an attachment to a primary care provider. Coordinated care, timely access, so they want people who have urgent needs to be seen within 24 hours and folks with potentially non-urgent needs to be seen within 7 days. There's a push for extended hours, so for there to be access to care after that, typical 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Comprehensive care, so again, team-based care, team-based care, team-based care. The promotion of health, population health, there being the ability to talk to each other with digital enablement, cultural safe care, providing care that is culturally safe and with as well as providing the equitable access to all patients who require care. So the PCN-NP service contracts, they have various deliverables. They're 3-year contracts. The one of the deliverables is for the NP to work a minimum of 1,680 hours a year. There are patient attachment requirements, and those in the urban area are 500 in the first year, 8 in the second, and 1,000 after 3 years. In the rural and remote areas, that's less. It's 4, 6, and 8. And then there's areas that, or settings that you may have less of an attachment number, you know, in situations where there's patient demographics for vulnerable populations, higher need populations. And the salary is roughly $170,000 to $180,000 a year. So our program was developed to support PCN-NPs. Like I think it was Karishma in the beginning, talked a little bit about where the NP Council, now the NP leadership team, lies in that negotiating arm, or the negotiating and advocacy arm of NNPBC. The primary care programs, including the NP provincial initiatives and programs, is part of the operations arms of NNPBC. So within the NP PIP, there's the practice support program, the NP provincial and regional leadership program, and then there's our reimbursement programs. It's important to note that the funding for our program is, it's funded through a shared cost arrangement or a contract with the Ministry of Health. It is not funded through NNPBC membership funds or the nurse practitioner, oh shoot, what is it called? The NPRF, restricted fund, that's the word. So practice support program, what does that mean? within the NP PIP, we have clinical supports, business supports, there's leadership development supports, quality improvement. We have a community of practice every month for PCN NPs where we come together. There's a newsletter, there's provider wellness supports, and we have info sheets, we have education, new clinically speaking education program that we've partnered with UBC CPD on to provide NPs with education for their clinical practices. We also have the mobile skills team, which allows NPs to reach out to subject matter experts in areas that they see that they may need more support. So there's subject matter experts that can work with you one-on-one to go through suturing, or Tara is a subject matter expert in Indigenous primary care. There's also the clinical consolidation mentorship program within the mobile skills team. So when you are a new grad and you've come out and you've taken a PCN-NP position, potentially that NP that was your monitor or that was you were working with could become your clinical consolidation mentor, and provide you some mentorship one-on-one within your clinic setting. So those are a few of the practice support program resources we have. The other part of our program is the provincial and regional leadership program. So as I said, there's 4 of the leads here tonight. There's a total of 12 leads within this provincial and regional leadership program. We have 3 leads that work within the Vancouver region. There's 3 leads in the Fraser region. We have 2 leads in the interior region, 2 leads in the on the island region, and we have we have 1 lead in the north. The team works together to support NPs, and that may be through mentoring, coaching, and basically support you from before you start a contract or before you start on your contract, and to support you in help like navigating what that means, how to navigate the contract, to navigate, signing practice level agreements, connecting with the divisions, to connecting with your clinics and whatnot, to working through all the pieces that are needed to become a self-employed independent contractor. They also, the leads also engage with our PCN partners, and one of their roles is to ensure that there's successful integration of NPs into the PCN settings. So we work closely with our PCN partners, and they help with delivering the practice support program. This is the NP pathway that we've developed. It's on our website. There's first stage, second stage, third stage, and fourth stage. And what I want to highlight is this first stage. It's really important when you're looking at a PCN position to make sure that you reach out to the regional leads. They have an abundant amount of information to share with you, to share with you before you actually sign a contract. So in this first stage, it's labeled as 0 to 6 months before the contract start date. Reach out early and reach out often. We have all of the highlighted pink areas are actual info sheets on our website, and this is open to you to look at any point, to review, and then when you do connect with the regional lead, you'll be able to base some questions on some of the readings that you've done. I'm not going to go through all the stages, but it's there, and there's the QR code if you wanted to take a picture. I was just putting this together. So the reimbursement programs that are part of the NP PIP include the CPD. So PCN NPs who are on a contract and a 1.0 FTE are allotted $5,000 of CPD funding to do any continuing professional development, education, and or other things that are you would read in the policy to see what is funded. And then we have the cultural competencies and anti-racism funding for all BC NPs in primary care. We have divisions activity funding. So for NPs who are not part of their divisions, they're funded to be able to attend division activities. There's the licensing fee reimbursement for those that don't have the licensing fees reimbursed elsewhere. And then there's Pathways Access. We have funding for NPs to be on the steering committees, the PCN steering committees, and to be part of those working groups to help with the decisions made in those communities for primary care transformation. There's the quality improvement initiatives where NPs are able to be funded to make changes in their practice and to build efficiencies within their practice. And then there's the up-to-date subscription funding, as well as we have an NP funding hub where you can see what you've utilized, what's left to you, and keep track of the funding that you've used up to that point. So PCN NPs, like I said, work in lots of different settings. They work in UPCCs, patient medical homes. Patient medical homes are clinics, so it could be a family practice clinic, could be an NP-led clinic. Then they also, the contracted NPs also work in community health centers, Indigenous-led primary care initiatives. So in the First Nations primary care clinics, this is a new program that the FNHA has been working on, and you can find PCN NPs working in foundries. So there's various ways that you can find out about PCN NP positions. The main way would be looking at Health Match BC. The last numbers I have in regards to PCN NP contract positions available in BC are about 125 positions out there. The majority of those positions are within the rural and remote settings. In the interior region, there are positions on Vancouver Island, some in Fraser, and within the northern settings, and there are multiple FNPCI or FNPCC NP positions as well. And if you have questions about any of those pieces, you can reach out to the provincial and regional leads. They are there to support you through the process and guide you through becoming a PCN NP. And that's me.
Thanks so much. We already have a few questions. So the first two this is kind of, we recently got some questions from students. So if I like a clinic and want to work at the clinic as a PCN NP, how do I get a contract in that clinic when it's not on Health Match?
Yeah, so at this point right now, so historically there was an unlimited amount of PCN NP contracts, and there was the ease of being able to go to the clinic, say that clinic and you have matched and want to work together, and then you would go to the PCN steering committee. The PCN steering committee is who governs or helps clinics and or providers put forward expression of interest to have an NP working in that clinic. And so the PCN would support that NP in the clinic to put through the request to the Ministry of Health, which is called the Primary Care Division. Currently, there is not an ability to do that at this point. With the new government that's come into place, there's a financial review going on. And at this point, there's no approval of new contracts or new NP positions or FP positions for that matter within the PCNs. And I believe that's the same within the health authorities, and I won't speak on behalf of Michael and Jennifer. So theoretically, if an NP wants to work in a clinic, you would have to go with that clinic lead to the PCN steering committee and have a request put forward to the primary care division of the Ministry of Health to have a contract.
And then the second question is, again, something that came up from students. Is there a PCN contract freeze? There's a lot of there's a lot of rumors around it. So just maybe a clarification point in regards to that.
So there's not a freeze. There is a pause on anything new at this point as the government is working through their financial review and developing their primary care strategy moving forward with the new government and our new Minister of Health. So I would expect in the next few months that there would be an update. And yeah, I see that you've posted something in the feed, Angela. Did you want to speak to anything else there?
Oh, hi, Erin. No, apologies.
Yeah, no.
It's just answering a question about the federal interpretation letter. So just put our statement in the chat.
Okay, great. Yeah, so no freeze. It's just waiting on the financial review of the ministry, and then we'll see how things move forward. There are positions available still.
Okay, another question from Serenia. I've been told attaching up to 1,000 patients can make it difficult to see them within the timely access expectation of 7 days due to the variable patient complexity. My question is, does patient complexity get factored or looked at in a PCNNP? If a PCNNP has not attached the required 1,000 by year 3?
So the way to answer that is it's really important to consider attaching a very well-rounded panel when you are accepting patients. The contract says that PCNNPs should have similar panels to their colleagues working in the clinic, and the expectation is that NPs have a well-rounded panel and the complexities to be, mild, moderate, and like significant complexity. The reality is that complex people need care. So our team is working with NPs to develop ways to be efficient in your practice, whether that means implementing AI within your documentation, or looking at various efficiencies within your clinic and workflows and whatnot. We're working with NPs to implement those things within your practice so that your day-to-day can be made easier. The expectation is that you attach that number of patients that you've signed, you will attach. So if you're working in the urban center, the expectation is that you attach 500 in the first year, 800 in the second year, and 1,000 in the third year.
I think the concerns that are coming up, and sorry, I'm just not able to turn on my camera right now.
Okay.
It's me who asked the question, is that certain people are cherry picking like the level of complexity into their patient panel. And I think that's where the PCN like mandate of having equitable access to care and also an equitable, like for everyone, like you said, people with complex needs need care. I think that's where like the kind of the gray area is becoming like very apparent in the PCN contracts. I just wanted to bring that up as like a concern, I think, just with the like moral distress.
Okay. Is there a question in that, or was I able to answer?
I think my question was just that, yeah, is the complexity going to be factored? And I think I got my answer.
Yeah, at this point, there is no complexity rating for patient attachment within the PCNs.
Can I just ask a quick question on that? So a couple couple things is I guess I didn't know that we could choose our own patients. I actually don't know how that works. I just know people are supposed to call 811 and then they get a call when there's so do NPs get a chance to review people and decide who they want?
Yes, yes. So currently, there's the patient attachment system, which is the sister of the Health Connect registry. Patients sign up to Health Connect registry. They list the certain conditions and or needs that they have. The Health Connect registry attachment coordinator folks put them into, well, but the answers that they give puts them into a high acuity or a high needs complexity versus low complexity. And when you, if you start a contract and you're starting from zero, within that community, you would ask your attachment coordinator at the PCN to send you the list of patients that they have for you. And they send you, I think, a list of 10. Please jump in, anybody, if I'm speaking out of term, but they send you a list of 10 patients, and that list of 10 patients has different levels of complexity. And from there, you decide who you're going to connect with. And based on that, you can build your panel in a way that provides you some balance.
Okay.
The tricky part is if you come in and you take over for a previous provider, and that provider has 1,000 patients that may have been quite complex. That's the tricky part for some folks that we're seeing. And we have to remember that PCN, the goal of PCN is to work within a team. So that team is you're to work with a team of RNs and social workers and pharmacists and other primary care providers, and you're to work together to support those patients. And so you're working as a team. So the goal is that everybody is being seen and their needs are being met from the right provider at the right time. I can't remember all the other rights, but yeah, team-based care.
Maybe okay, one last question. I think we're timed, and then we'll get Jennifer Beaver, John. And this was the reason why the last question that Brianna put, it's again by a lot of students had this sort of anxiety. There's anxiety going around in regards to the sort of slowness of these contracts. So a lot of students are wondering, with all these new NP seats coming out and new grads coming out, will there be jobs for them? And what's the vacancy rate? And is there still a high vacancy rate in all, health authorities, PCN?
Yeah, so from a PCN perspective, like I said, the numbers that I just pulled, there's 125 positions throughout BC. What you're going to see is that a majority of those are not within the Lower Mainland. Those are going to be in a rural and remote setting. On top of that, there's really great signals from our Ministry of Health in that they've increased nurse practitioner seats in BC. They had a US a campaign to recruit US NPs and others to come to BC. There's also the fact that the ministry is signaling that they want to talk to us about an NP main agreement. And so those things are really positive for NPs in BC. I can't say that exactly what's going to happen, but I'm hopeful that we will continue to have NP positions, and there'll be more and more opportunity as we all come together and work together to be strong as NPs in BC.
Thanks, Erin. Thank you so much. Again, if you guys have any other questions, put in the chat and we'll try to save it and answer it a bit later. Perfect. Next, we have, last but not the least, Jennifer Beveridge. Thank you.
Hi, no problem. I'm just a bit worried it's 8:36, so I don't know if people are dropping off. I'm happy to speak and stay on, but if you want me to, but I just was worried at the time.
No.
Should I go ahead? Okay. Well, thanks for having me. And I think, you know, the one thing, I've got a few slides, I'll try and go and speak as fast as I can. I'm Jen Beveridge, and I'm an NP here with clinical practice in the North Vancouver, coming to you from the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. I've been an NP for 20 years. It's our anniversary. It's actually a reunion on Saturday, which is pretty exciting. I was in that first UBC class. So just even sitting here listening tonight, we've come a very, very long way. What we're talking about tonight is very different than what we talked about 5 years ago, 15 years ago. And I'm starting to feel old, like, well, back in my day, you know what we had to do. But it's pretty amazing to hear the college say, you know, the scope's pretty open. You can kind of do all this. Like, it's all the blood, sweat, and tears of a lot of people on here and across the province that have really gotten us this far. So just wanted to give a kudos to everyone. And then just also to say I'm here for BCH, but I want to just, if you can take home one message about any of this, PCN, health authorities, we are not in competition with each other. Our role as a public system is to ensure that patients get care. So for us, it's about the right job for the right persons for the right reasons. Patients benefit most when you get a job that you love and that you stay in. And so there's a lot more movement that's been happening that didn't used to happen. And my advice would be to really reach out and talk to the leadership for each health authority, for the PCM, for the PIP team, and explore your options and opportunities so you really make an informed decision. The seats increasing, all of this is a good news story. There is a lot of jobs. There's a lot of jobs out there in a variety of settings. Sometimes there's less jobs in some areas and more in others, depending on the needs of the population, or maybe where we've saturated or where we haven't. But the good news story, every health authority, I'm just going to speak on their behalf, even without their permission, but we all partner and agree to do that for each other. We all have high vacancy rates. We all have positions, and there is jobs. So that's the good news story. So just to quickly go through my slides, let's see if I can get this done. So I'm going to share, and I'm going to go here. I'm going to do that. Can you see? Let me try and put it in presentation mode.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Perfect.
And can you still see?
Yeah.
Woo! So VCH, just want to acknowledge, actually covers 14 nations across, and our areas that we go from all the way in Musqueam or other, also known Richmond areas, all the way up through Helsik, Central Coast, Bella Bella, Bella Coola. So we're a very large health authority, many regions and areas that we cover, Cathet, Sechelt, and then the Lower Mainland, that's probably often more familiar. We've got opportunities in many areas. We also, like many of the health authorities, offer the postgraduate advanced residency programs, acute care. We've got many acute care jobs. We've got over 210 NPs right now across acute primary care specialty areas, surgical medicine, emerge, oncology, care of the elderly, long-term care, UPCCs. Our workforce for UPCCs, to give you an example, is that it's like 51% of NPs are filled the positions for providers at UPCCs. It's a significant workforce. I think that's about 60-something NPs alone in VCH are working in UPCCs. So I think Michael went into the residency programs. One thing I just wanted to add, and we work across the health authorities in province to align where we can and to support each other and to share resources. The one piece is that these advanced education and residency programs always have been taking place these 20 years. They just didn't have the infrastructure around them that we're able to have because we have the numbers. It's often an N of 1 NP coming into an area. So we would, self-design an individual 6-month or 1-year sort of orientation or onboarding. And now we're able to develop and moving towards accreditation. I just want to give an example of what an org structure looks like in a health authority for a centralized NP leadership. So this is small print. It doesn't really matter. It just really shows and I wear 2 hats in the organization. So I'm just going to speak to my 1 hat, which is the executive director of nurse practitioners and interdisciplinary medical providers. So that covers nurse practitioners, associate physicians, midwives, physician assistants. But I report up through professional practice to have a matrix to the VP of medicine with that hat. And then the NP and carry the responsibility and strategy for the NPs across the organization. We have directors, leads that help with each person has a specific role, but from mentorship, frontline support up through strategy at an executive level. And then we also have NPs in medical leadership roles. So my other hat actually is the chair of the Health Authority Medical Advisory Committee, which is a very different hat than my executive director hat. But we also have NPs as medical directors, medical coordinators, and a multitude of positions across the organization. So lots of opportunities for leadership. So from a practice support perspective, I already talked about that, mentorship, education. We do robust orientations. Yesterday we had we had medical staff orientation last week, and then this week we had NP orientation. I think we had about 35 or 40 people of new hires sitting in that room. All of which was an even distribution from BC, the United States, and outside of BC who were coming in for those positions. And that NPs, like in all the other health authorities, depending where you work, you're either medical staff or you're credentialed medical provider. If you're in a facility under the Hospital Act, you need credentialing and privileging to work in those sites. If you're an NP in a non-health in a facility not under the Health Authority Act, you're called a credentialed medical provider. Either way, you go through a credentialing process, and you get the supports up through the medical staff and medical staff associations, as well as the professional practice and NP leadership. So why VCH? It's, like any of the other health authorities and the PCN, where we've worked hard together to really develop infrastructure around to support, mentor. And I always want to say, back in my day, none of this existed. And to be able to say how much is there to try and support, and it only gets better every year. And we look back and think, how much more much further could we go? And then here we are again, and still trying to catch our breath. And it feels like we've got roller skates on with jets underneath and coming out the sides. And you wake up the next day and realize you have to turn left instead of right, and you just keep going. And it's pretty amazing. BC is amazing and welcoming for nurse practitioners. Just choose the right job for you. Any of our health authorities and the PCN, if it's what you love, then you're going to be successful at it and you will be sustained in that role. But we're all available to reach out and talk and discuss what's available, and we'll direct you. Every door is the right door and should be with any of our leadership. If you come to us and we think there's another position that might be available, like you really actually want to live in the Okanagan, but you're talking to me, like I'm going to connect you with the person in the Okanagan and say, why don't you go there and let's find a job for you there, because you're going to move from here in a year anyway. So let's all work together to make it sustainable. So I spoke very fast, but just to say, you're always welcome to work in BCH as well as the other places. We've got lots of jobs. I'm not worried about positions. Health authorities aren't, we don't specifically have the mild to moderate private contracts in the family practice sites, but we do specialized primary care and lots of community sites, long-term care, and then other types of community roles in MSHU and in support of the care of the frail elderly in their home programs. Any questions?
Yes, I have one question here. Where are the majority of the NP jobs? Is it mostly in specialized care or primary care, UPCC within the health with VCH, I guess?
With VCH, a lot of our jobs right now, we've filled a lot of our UPCC and current emergency positions. So I'd say we have a lot in some of our specialty areas in acute, and in our primary care clinics, our specialized primary care. Those are specifically to work with a population that is impacted by social and health inequities. but there's also turnover and change. So there's usually positions that do fill up, but our residency program that just launched last week for adults, acute, emerge, and for UPCC. But there's positions really kind of across in most of those areas.
And then what's else? Sadi, I think Sadi asked for Fraser. Oh, it's a Fraser Health. Never mind. Sorry. Aisha asked, is there a return of service within VCH?
For if you take a residency program, there is a return of service. Yeah, similar like all the health authorities, we align across how we offer those programs. Yeah.
And for the residencies, is it the same sort of amount of time? You get 6 months, or it depends like where you work?
It depends on the specialty. On average, they're 6 months, and they're being developed every day, depending on the areas that we're looking at and needing. But for the most part, they're 6 months. I'm not here from Island Health. I don't know if what residency programs that they've developed yet. Oh, Michael's on. Perfect. Sorry.
Any other questions? Any burning questions?
I think I saw a question earlier of like you can work in a PCN contract and a health authority role. I think the piece is there's no specific rules around. There's many people that work in both. There's many people who are working in multiple different jobs at the same time and different settings and payments. My one piece of advice to you is you got to make it work with your schedule. And make sure that you're able to balance. It's actually a buffet of opportunities out there for NPs that never existed before between primary care contracts, health authorities, virtual, different carers and TELUS, and people are working all over, but it's actually just ensuring you're meeting the needs of the patients and your availability, and how you balance that across, I think is just really important. And we do see people get stuck in some of those situations, especially you try and balance a UPCC that has evenings and weekends and you're in a primary care clinic, making sure that those two schedules are going to align okay. But that's where just reaching out and speaking to the leaders is important to help you navigate that and what's possible. I like to say there's always the art of the possible.
I have one question in for my list here. Are new grad NPs obligated to take on NP students, or at what point do they maybe have to or need to, or is it a mandatory thing?
There's no obligation for anybody to take on a student. We obviously encourage once someone has their, I'm going to sound old again, I remember having 2 NP students when I was only 6 months in 2005. However, we're not in that situation anymore, and we try, and it's about sharing and really wanting to mentor and support. Under the medical staff rules and bylaws, the commitment and privileges is being able to mentor and support your colleagues as well. But there isn't a mandatory for anybody to take a student, especially in the earlier days of practice. But we will reach out and ask you and try and find ways, if it's either for mentorship or students, or we're also support the NPs coming through the residency program. So there's a lot of need for that support, but there's nothing mandatory.
Any other burning questions at all from anyone else? Sorry, guys, I know we're running a teeny bit late. Again, I have to put on the plug, but we are, as an NP committee, this is kind of hosted by us for you guys, and it was an idea that was formed within the NP student committee, and it was a success last year and a bigger success this year, given now we have way more NP students now compared to last year. So we are looking for people, and our positions are open, and the deadline for the NP student committee positions is November the 17th. So anyone who's interested, I've put in my email, I'll put it again. If they have questions, time commitment, things like that, obviously you can ask the reps who are in your school, but I know UVic, unfortunately, and UNBC, we don't have anyone yet, but we would love to have someone from both schools and all schools, really. So I don't see any questions. It's a late night. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for all the panels for coming as well. I know it's a weekday night, so everyone has to sleep and has kids and stuff. So thank you again. And any questions, you can email me personally. Bye, guys.